And there's Tammy. Tammy's there too. Woohoo! Yeah.
Guys, yeah, whatever you There's Tammy. And Tammy. Text Amy. Right there.
Oh, Amy's on the right.
I'm Representative Brienne Brown for the 43rd. And I've been asked to speak very briefly because we have some amazing people here who have a lot to say. But I just wanted to point out that I got into this race because of the Dobbs decision, which is a big deal because it's going to be coming up against the Supreme Court in Wisconsin's going to be addressing our 1849 ban, essentially. So super important things coming up. We have also some other things coming up in against the Supreme Court, for instance. Whether or not people have the right to collectively bargain, and whether or not we're going to have fair maps in the next year or so. So I just wanted to let everybody know we're not in a police state yet. And our job is to fix that and fight that and make sure that we are fighting at every single level, whether that's talking to your neighbors or whether that's writing to your representatives. All of us whether it's one side of the aisle or not, all of us, because I can use that as, as evidence that people care. I can stand on the floor and say, 200 people called me, wrote to me about this thing, and you need to do something about it. We need to do something about it. So we're all fighting for you. We had 23 new legislators that came in this year who are really smart, very, very fired up, and they have been introducing all sorts of great bills to show that they're fighting for you and fighting for Wisconsin and making sure that we are holding the line when it comes to this craziness and insanity that's happening at the federal level. So we are that big wall that's going to keep make it a little bit harder for the federal government to break things up and sell us off for parts, essentially. Just wanted to say thank you, and let's have other people talk about what they're going to do to help, because again, it's all levels of government. We're all trying to help and figure out how we can make sure that we still have an amazing Wisconsin and an amazing country. So thanks.
Okay, I'll introduce myself. Hello, Elkhorn! What an awesome crowd. This is so awesome. I just want you to all take a look around. This is incredible. This is democracy. So I'm Rebecca Ballot. I'm on our Wisconsin Supreme Court. And I'm there because of you. So thank you. I'm there as a fair, impartial justice because of you. And we thank you for putting me there, for putting Justice Protasewicz there, for putting Justice there. And now we're going to put Judge Crawford, our next Supreme Court justice. I know some of you had a chance to get to know her, and if you haven't, she is fantastic. I am beyond impressed. I knew Susan when we ran. She ran for circuit court when I was running for Supreme Court. I've gotten to know her over the years. I am beyond impressed. She is exactly the kind of justice we need on our Supreme Court. She has been a prosecutor protecting our communities. She has been an advocate for people and for causes which we all believe in. She has represented teachers. She's represented Planned Parenthood. She has represented all kinds of people. She's fought for voting rights. These are the kinds of things she did as an attorney in private practice. And she also is a judge, a sitting judge, and she knows what it's like to sit on a case and to be fair and impartial, and to follow the law and uphold the Constitution. There could not be a bigger contrast between Judge Crawford and Brad Trump. He is an extreme partisan politician. And if anyone questioned it from before, from all of his partisanship leading up to running for Supreme Court, there is no need to question it anymore. He appeared last night in a MAGA hat. A judge, a sitting judge on our courts, he's in Waukesha, who is running for our highest court, which is a nonpartisan office, where we have to consider the law and the Constitution and nothing else, is at an event wearing a MAGA hat. And he's making statements like he wants to be part of Trump's support network. There's flyers out there saying that he's going to further Trump's agenda on our Supreme Court. That is not what Supreme Court justices do. We do not further anyone's agenda. We are not bought and paid for. We are here to represent you as the people of the state with your laws, upholding your laws, upholding our Constitution, our laws. That's what we do on a daily basis. And I'm going to give you an example of just how important this is. In 2020, Joe Biden won our state by 20,000 votes. After that, Trump filed a lawsuit. He filed it in our court, and we held a hearing. He sought to throw out 227,000 ballots, lawfully cast ballots. One of those ballots was actually Judge Crawford's ballot. Just seriously, it was. Because the only places he wanted to throw out those ballots was Dane and Milwaukee County. And they were absentee ballots, and it was based on the form that was used all over our state. Yet the only ballots he wanted to throw out were in Dane and Milwaukee County. And he did not allege any fraud that took place during that election, and there was no proof of any fraud. So we heard the case. It should be a no-brainer, right? We did not throw out the ballots. 3 people on our court voted to throw out those ballots. That is the difference between electing a fair and impartial judge, who will be Justice Susan Crawford, and someone like Brad Schimmel, who has made pledges and who has represented himself as acting as an extreme partisan politician. So we need to make sure that we all work hard to elect Judge Crawford. I know you all are, but everything you do at this point, obviously we're geared up now. We got Tuesday. We did all the early vote stuff. Now it's get out that vote. Every phone call you make, every text you make, every neighbor, every person you see at the grocery store. There are actually people, believe it or not, that don't know there's an election on Tuesday. I don't know how you could do that if you watch TV, but it's true. It is true. I've heard from canvas launches that there are people, they go to the door and people don't know. So, this is a nonpartisan election. It's a spring election. Some people are not dialed in. We need to dial everyone in to what's at stake here. Our court is the backstop. As you've seen happening nationally, we are the backstop, right? We are the place people go when they say a law has been violated or the Constitution has been violated, whether the legislature does it, whether the governor does it, whether an individual does it, we're the backstop. And so we need Judge Crawford on that court so badly. And the race that was lost in the last 6 years was lost by less than 1 vote per ward. So you all get 2 extra people out there voting, that could be all the difference in the world. So I want to thank all of you for all your hard work for this awesome, awesome, awesome crowd. I get the pleasure of introducing Senator Baldwin, who needs no introduction. She has represented us in Washington and really represented us as Wisconsinites in a way that we just are so grateful. And she knows what it's like to win in this state. So without further ado, Senator Baldwin.
Thank you so much. I have to say, it is so good to be home from Washington, D.C. And this is a particularly important and special moment to be home, because I want to say a little bit about how important this race is, not just here in the state of Wisconsin, but how it's taken on national proportions. And for a variety of different reasons. For one reason, this is kind of the first major statewide race to take place in America since last November's election results, right? And so the nation's attention has turned to Wisconsin and to this particular judicial race for justice on our state Supreme Court. It has not escaped anyone's notice in this room that our president and our co-president, Elon Musk, given this their personal attention and resources, but we'll start with the attention. President Trump took the unusual step of endorsing Schimmel in this race for state Supreme Court. I think what Justice Dallett just said about his interest in who is on our state Supreme Court has some historical precedent, right? But Elon Musk has put in about $20 million of his own resources. Just as a reminder, in case you've forgotten, he is the richest man on earth. And he's put in about $20 million of his own wealth into this race to support Schimmel. He also has a company with active litigation in this state that could someday, like Trump's case, make its way up to the state Supreme Court. And it strikes me as that maybe he would like his own justice to be the deciding vote in that case. That's right. So, if that weren't enough, we're seeing this scandalous activity, I don't even know what to call it, dangling million-dollar checks out there for people who he believes will have cast their vote for Schimmel in this race. It is outrageous. But I think they understand, again, the stakes in this race, and you've heard the representative talk about that. Brianna was talking about what's at stake. What are the cases that may well come before our state Supreme Court? Well, one is the validity of our 1849 criminal abortion ban, which Schimmel has said he believes to be valid. Another is a question about whether our congressional districts are gerrymandered. Now, if you have a question in your mind about whether they're gerrymandered, let me just suggest to you this. The results in Wisconsin last November would suggest that we're a pretty 50-50 state. Then why is it that Republicans have 6 out of our 8 congressional seats? That doesn't sound very 50-50 to me. These are the type of matters that are going to come before the court. Matters of justice, matters of freedoms, matters of rights. These are vital. And as we see also nationally, as there is a broken system with regard to checks and balances. Yeah. Our court systems, federal, state, local, have taken on outsized importance. These are our checks and our balances. And we need an impartial justice. Now, in the end, Elon Musk does not get to decide the outcome of this state Supreme Court. You know who does? You! We do! We do! And we have the opportunity in the days and hours that remain to get out there and continue to talk to our neighbors, our friends, our relatives, co-workers, and make sure they know what is on your mind. Because we have the opportunity before us to have eminently qualified, impartial jurist making us proud every day on the state Supreme Court. I give you future justice. Thank you.
Hello, Elkhorn. Who's going to help me win this election? Well, I'm glad you're so fired up on this Sunday afternoon before the election. There's a lot at stake. You heard a little bit about that from my friends, Justice Stout and Senator Baldwin. And we need to make sure that voters understand what this choice is really about. And there's a lot on the line. All of our fundamental rights and freedoms are on the line. The future of the state of Wisconsin for our kids and the future of our Supreme Court. Voters need to understand that their choice is between having a justice on the Supreme Court who has common sense, who knows right from wrong, and will apply our laws to protect every Wisconsinite. Or to put somebody on the Supreme Court who's an extreme partisan politician who's willing to sell out justice to the highest bidder. Not what we need in Wisconsin. So I know that you all understand that. Let's make sure that every voter out there, everybody that you all can talk to, and there's a lot of people in this room. Make sure people vote. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I grew up in Chippewa Falls, western Wisconsin. A community a lot like this one where people know each other and people care about each other and watch out for each other. And when I was a little girl growing up in Chippewa Falls, I never could have dreamed that I'd be fighting the richest man in the world for justice in Wisconsin. But here we are. We're going to beat him, right? But I grew up in a family like yours, probably. I had 2 brothers and a sister. I grew up taking care of my little sister who had special needs. When I was in high school, my dad, who was an engineer, was laid off from his job. So we had to go through some tough times as a family to get through that. I'm sure that many of you could tell similar stories about your own families. So we pulled together. We got through that crisis. I helped out by paying my own way in college. But those are experiences that made me who I am today. Now, somebody who knows the value of hard work and who knows right from wrong and who believes in protecting people, particularly the people who need our help. Yes, yes. And I have kids, 2 kids who are young adults who I am very proud of. My husband and I raised them here in Wisconsin, same kind of values that I was raised with. And I know what it's like to worry about your kids and want to keep them safe. So keeping kids and families safe in Wisconsin is something that I have always worked for and will always work for on the Wisconsin Supreme Court as well. So that's what I've always done throughout my legal career, starting out as a prosecutor at the Wisconsin Department of Justice, taking the toughest felony cases all the way to the Supreme Court, making sure that I was holding people accountable, making sure violent criminals were off our streets, that crime victims' rights were upheld and that they had a voice in the process, and that big corporations that violate our laws and harm our communities are also held accountable. To me, that's all common sense justice, and it's what I'll bring to this tonight. Later in my career, I had the great privilege of representing people just like you in our courts, fighting for their rights. Public school teachers
We got any teachers in the room? I stood up in our courtroom and fought for teachers for their rights in the workplace after they were taken away by the government. I represented the nonpartisan League of Women Voters to make sure again, standing up in court, fighting for our right to vote, making sure that every eligible voter in Wisconsin can cast their ballot and have it count. That's democracy. And I stood up for Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin and their doctors. The government was trying to get between women and their doctors, threatening doctors with felony prosecutions and the loss of their medical licenses for providing health care to women. So we fought in court and we won. We got that law struck in court. And you know, the name of that case was Planned Parenthood of Wisconsin versus Brad Schimmel. We said it. We beat him once. We're going to beat him again. So that's what I worked for as a lawyer. I fought for our fundamental rights and for the safety of our communities and our families. And now I'm a judge, and I really do the same thing as a judge, just from a little different perspective. You know, I'm standing up for Wisconsin families and Wisconsin values every day when I sit behind the bench. And as a judge, I make sure that I get the facts right based on the evidence, because the truth matters. I interpret and apply the laws fairly and impartially. And I never forget that the people in my courtroom are real people with real problems. And I make sure I make decisions that are going to work and solve those problems in the real world. And that's what kind of justice I'm going to be on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. You guys are fired up. All right. I don't want to, blow the mood here. Let me talk about my opponent for just a minute. So Elon Musk, folks. That guy. Elon Musk has now spent more than $25 million. It goes up every day, Senator. $25 million. In the last 8 weeks or so, has spent more than $25 million to try to keep me off the Wisconsin Supreme Court. What's this guy so afraid of? So, we heard Senator Baldwin talk about the fact that he's got a case that he's watching closely in our Wisconsin state court system. And he's working as the unelected right-hand man to the president. He's got an agenda. Unfortunately, my opponent, Brad Schimmel, is willing to sell off justice to the highest in Wisconsin. And that's because he has always been about partisanship, politics, and the big money special interests. We have seen that over and over. As a candidate for the Wisconsin Supreme Court, he has stood up for that 1849 criminal ban on just about all abortions in Wisconsin. He says there's nothing wrong with that law. That's a law that would drive women out of state to seek their health care. He's also the guy who said about that 2020 case brought by the Trump campaign to try to overturn a Wisconsin election. He said that the Wisconsin Supreme Court screwed over the Trump campaign. Screwed over Donald Trump. He's an extreme partisan. Always has been. As Attorney General, he prioritized a right-wing agenda in Wisconsin. Tried to take away our health care. Tried to overturn the law that protects people with pre-existing health conditions. If he had been successful, people with pre-existing health conditions, which is like just about everybody, right? Health insurance executives would have been able to stop their health insurance rolls. That wasn't for any of us. That was for the big money special interests. And you've all heard about the sexual assault kits. I'm not going to tell the story today. But not protecting health and safety because you have other priorities like taking away women's reproductive health care rights and taking health care away from Wisconsinites. So that is not somebody we need on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. He doesn't seem to understand what the job is. He has said that he wants to be part of Donald Trump's support network on the court. Our Supreme Court is not a support network for any political administration. So, folks, we've got, 72 hours, something like that. A lot of work to do. A lot of doors can still be knocked. A lot of calls can be made. Emails sent. Text messages. Remind your kids, you gotta vote. April 1st is the day. Yep. So help me out with this. All right? Are you all with me? Right at home here, people. So, like I said, we got today, tomorrow, Tuesday. We're going to get it done. Let's win this election.
All right, folks. Before Sue gives her canvassing pitch in a few moments, we're going to get one big group photo with all of you guys right out front here. You guys want to put your signs in the air? I want to see your big smiles. Oh my gosh, you guys are looking good here in Walworth County. All right, folks. I'm going to hand the mic to Sue, who will talk to you a bit about canvassing and how to knock some doors. And then afterwards, Judge Crawford will be available for some photos. We'll be doing the photos right here up front, and if folks are interested, they need to line up in front of this big sign of Judge Crawford to get in line for a photo. All right, here you go, Sue.